is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming.
This clip is from a speech that Donald Trump did at the Heritage Foundation on April 21st, 2022. In this speech, he says that the Heritage Foundation is going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do, and that they will create a colossal mandate to save America. Why does that word mandate sound so familiar again? After discussing the election with some people, I realized that people who aren't even MAGA think that Project 2025 is some liberal boogeyman conspiracy theory, and that Trump disavowed it and really doesn't know anything about it. I know I'm going to lose some followers for this, but I created this page to protect women, and I think discussing this is absolutely essential to that goal, because the rights and freedoms we enjoy today are at risk. But this doesn't just apply to the rights of women, people of color, and the LGBTQ plus community. This applies to everyone. You may not care about the rights of those communities, but you may care about your video games, about corn, about net neutrality, or about our democracy. Trump made a statement that he knows nothing about Project 2025 and has no idea who is behind it. The reality is that Trump and the Heritage Foundation have been working hand in hand since 2016. The Heritage Foundation has been creating policies since Ronald Reagan. That first mandate for leadership was written in 1981. The Heritage Foundation also wrote one in 2016, a mandate that they presented to Trump and that Trump implemented even more effectively than Reagan. In fact, after his first year in office, the administration had implemented 64% of the Heritage Foundation's policy recommendations. 64%. But he doesn't know who these people are? Trump's Supreme Court justices were also handpicked from Heritage Foundation recommendations. These Supreme Court justice picks have launched 2025 faster than the organization even expected. Under his presidency, he also passed something called Schedule F, a proposal that is key to the goals of the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025, as it removes civil servant protection so that federal government employees can be fired and replaced by Trump loyalists. You may have heard that his name shows up 312 times in this document, but does that really mean anything? Turns out it does. When I read this document, I realized that his name is mentioned so many times for two reasons. First is laying out the positions that all of the authors and editors held in the Trump administration. Second is it specifically lays out the multiple policies and executive orders Trump was able to pass in his presidency. Again, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a document that lays out the tangible actions Trump took at the request of the Heritage Foundation in his last presidency. Project 2025 is the brainchild of over 140 Trump administration alumni who got together with multiple Christian nationalist organizations to break down where they fell short in the first Trump administration. To quote, assemble an army of aligned, vetted, trained, and prepared conservatives to go to work on day one to deconstruct the administrative state. People say I'm crazy when I say Trump wants to be a dictator. They say, well, why didn't he become one in his first term? That wasn't from a lack of intent or effort. We don't even have to imagine it because all you have to do is look back to January 6th. The day Trump incited a violent mob to overthrow the government and overturn the election, which he is now referring to as a day of love. The only reason he didn't succeed that day is because our government still had guardrails up, he wasn't surrounded by loyalists, and they weren't organized. He had people around him who said that he can't just use the military against his own people or shoot protesters in the leg. And he had a VP and a DOJ that refused to overturn the election. Wonder why they want to dismantle the DOJ. This document and the pillars of Project 2025 were created to dismantle those guardrails, organize his administration, and surround him by loyalists. If you don't know who this is Viktor Orban, who is the Prime Minister of Hungary. His successful dismantling of the Hungarian democracy is the model of Project 2025. And Donald Trump just so happened to host him at Mar-a-Lago this year. If you don't think this can happen in the United States, you need to wake up. This man has been in power in Hungary since 2010. If Trump is elected, they don't plan on having another election, or at least another real election. Because as Trump so eloquently put it, you won't have to vote again. It will be fixed. You just need to vote this one time.
You have to go out at least this election. Just give us and get us into that beautiful White House. We have to win this election, most important election ever. Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian.
The only missing chess piece they have is this man in office. So if you care about your rights and our democracy, please go out and vote.